Alright guys, it's the one you've all been waiting for. Years and years Guild Wars 1 has existed, and people have talked about balance before, people have talked about skill efficacy, you may have even listed out your favourite skills, but no one, until today, has done the impossible. No one has rated, out of all 1,300 skills, the best and the worst looking. So today, guys, we're going to do the top 10... Well, we're going to do a selection of the best Guild Wars 1 skills and the worst Guild Wars 1 skills. Get a bit of that Guild Wars 2 fashion semblance into the original game. And yeah, this is just for fun. But the Guild Wars 1 subreddit, if you guys have missed it at the moment, is full of just jokey, ridiculous stuff looking back at the old skill icons. Way back in the day, we used to make fake builds that weren't real builds, but the icons told a story. Because where that game had so many different abilities, eventually you could essentially do that. You can make little comic panels. So here we go. Let's see what the best and the worst are. Also, I will note, if you genuinely want to judge the skill art, the best ones by a long way, and I'm not going to include any of them in this video, are signets. Signets look amazing. Look at these bad boys. There's like 2 bad signets in the entire game. All the rest look incredible. Almost makes me want to get into making real world jewelry just so I can get them in the real world. They're ridiculous. Also, yes, just to be clear, this is supposed to make you cringe. This is supposed to be trash tier content. This is not particularly serious. Let's start off here with snare. So this is the bottom of the top. Just a nice little ranger trap skill. And of course, what do we see? A person being snared by a trap. Looks kind of gross, kind of gruesome. Is descriptive of what it does. That's basically what you want in a skill icon. Next, we have Predator's Pounce. Probably the coolest of a huge collection, actually, of pet-based abilities. Some of them show, you know, pets eating carrion and stuff on the ground. Some of them show them in various states of attack. But here, this guy, I think if I would look at this without knowing the skill name, Predator's Pounce, I would think that guy looks like a badass predator. And yeah, I like the kind of fiery effect behind there as well. Good balance of detail. Some of these skills go way too much detail. This is the good mix. Next, we have Gash. There's a lot of warrior weapon attacks, obviously, and some of them show the attack in action, some of them just show a weapon, some of them show the result of the attack. This would obviously be in the latter of those categories. Gash is the best looking warrior attack skill icon in the game, in my opinion. Look at how gory and nasty that feels. It's kind of amazing. If you pore over the skill art long enough, you'll realize a lot of Guild Wars feels very grim, because there's a lot of really dark, gross stuff, and this is one of the goriest skill icons. I love it. Next, we have Blackout from the Mesmer. So I have to be really careful with my judging of Mesmer stuff because I was a Mesmer main. So I have all this extra stuff tied up, like this nostalgia, and I'm constantly being pushed based on skill efficacy. Like, I always prefer the icons of the skills that happen to be overpowering one way. And obviously Blackout was super fun to use in team arenas, to use in HA and stuff. But let's be real, this is a good skill icon. It's very simple, it represents what it is. An Eclipse, a Blackout. It's great for a fantasy setting. I love it. Next, we have Life for the Ritualist. So there's obviously a ton of different Rit spirits. Some of them are very hit, some of them are very miss. We'll get to those later. But this one, yeah, is one of the very few that really conjures a little bit of a story and an image of what it's trying to do. The spirit comes down, infuses itself into your body, and heals you up. Again, maybe a little bit heavy on the detail for this one. If it goes too heavy and cluttered, they look terrible. But I still like this icon. I think it hits a good mix. Next, we're starting to get into the better ones now. Apply Poison. I love this. This ranger skill, very simple, very effective. Look at the wafts of poison ripping off of that arrow there. I think it's great. Very simple to look at. Fun skill, and doesn't that just look horribly caustic and toxic and nasty? Wouldn't want to go anywhere near those arrows. It's good stuff. Next, we have a Factions Elementalist Elite Star Burst. A lot of Ellie skills are great, especially the fiery-looking ones, the explosive-looking ones. This one I rate quite highly for its art factor. Look, it's an explosion that looks like a burst of star in a star shape. Perfect. Next, we're back to the Warriors. We have Backbreaker. So again, we don't see the weapon on this one, but we do see someone getting cracked on the back. Looks pretty devastating. Back to Mesmer as we climb the ladder. We've got Conjure Nightmare. So there's kind of this sexy looking lady here, you know, with her neck exposed, her shoulder, and there's this creepy thing that snuck up behind her, the nightmare that has been conjured, and it's gonna eat and feed from her. I love this. It's conjured nightmare as well, right? So what does she look like? She looks like she's asleep. It's brilliant. I think this is exactly the kind of way that Mesmer skill icon should always look. It's about mind games, and yeah, that's kind of terrifying. Another very simple, clean, effective skill here. This one's on the Rangers. Arcing shot. I mean, that's an arcing shot 100%, and I think it works perfectly. Next, we have Order of Undeath. There's a lot of death magic related necromancer stuff that constantly shows liches and skeletons and all kinds of nasty undead minions. This is probably my favorite of the whole lot. The weird blue ring around her forehead is kind of strange, but the details are really perfect on this one. There's genuinely maybe 15 to 20 different skill icons that all go for this, and this is my favorite of the collection. Looking at the assassin here, we have Entangling Asp. And what do we see? Well, we see a dagger, the representation that this is some kind of dagger-based technique, with the asp in question entangling its way around it. I like this a lot. A lot of the time, they just resort to showing the creature. So, like Horns of the Ox, it just shows an ox. Falling Spider, it just shows a spider. There's another spider-based one. This one actually merges the two together, and I think in quite a nice, artistic way. The composition is really good. Back to Ranger, we have Barbed Arrows. Those are arrows. They're barbed. They're coming diagonally across the screen. There's lots of energy. Excellent composition. Just makes you want to do a sound effect. The barbed arrows slam into people. What a good one. I didn't even play Ranger, and I like the look of this skill. First appearance of Paragon in the video. This is Burning Shields. And Paragon is pretty much massively weighed down and down by the anthems and chants and things. So really you don't actually have too many to pick from. I think Burning Shield is great. I think it's gorgeous. It's a nice symmetrical design. The shield itself has got a bit of asymmetry on it. It's a burning shield. Come on, guys. I actually remember my first runs through of Nightfall as a Paragon. I wanted to use this skill as best as possible just because it looks awesome. Continuing to climb higher, we next have another Necromancer one, Demonic Flesh. So this isn't really too representative of the idea of the skill, I grant you. But you can see that his flesh is glowing just a little bit, so maybe he's got demonic flesh there. But some kind of weird, creepy demon. We get this side-on shot of its face. Looks like an animal, really. And I like this one a lot because it makes me very curious about, again, some of these darker, scarier aspects of lore and creatures that are represented in skill icons, but nowhere else. Creepy-looking dude, right? Alright, like I said, I was a Mesmer main. This could be nostalgia and the fact I played Mesmer, but Conjure Phantasm. What a skill. Same as Conjure Nightmare before, but we get an up-close look at this ethereal, ephemeral, not quite real thing that plants itself in your mind and haunts you. Look at its teeth there with its weird claw shapes. Ah, it's brilliant. Creepy, and I will always remember this. Such an iconic visual skill icon. When I think Guild Wars 1 Mesmer, I think this. Maybe because it's one of the first skills you get, but shh, the icon's very good too. Next, we go to the Monk, one of the weaker resurrection abilities, this one being Restore Life. This is one I only recently started to appreciate as I was making this video. Look at this, it's very cool. You basically have a skeleton, like the idea that there's a body there, and we're restoring life to it, and its face is like regenerating halfway through. I think this is gorgeous. I also, in general, just love the colors and whatnot of the Monk skill icons, which I'm hoping to not cloud my judgment with this very serious video. But yeah, what a cool icon. I really like Restore Life. Getting beyond the middle of the top and to the top of the top now, guys, we have Jagged Bones. It's simple, I grant you, but they look like some dangerous, scary-ass bones, and whenever I've seen this skill icon, I've always imagined those getting attached somehow onto my minions. Very, very creepy, cool-looking skill, dangerous, aggressive, kind of gets into that little bit of a gore idea that we had on some of the earlier ones as well. Really enjoy some of these Necro ones. And frankly, it stands out from the rest of that class too. Looking at Dervish next, we have the Dust Cloak. Look at this, it's brilliant. It feels like a dust cloak. The person actually pulling the physical material of their armor over their face to protect themselves from the dust that's whirling around them, protecting them and also being aggressive. I love the scale of zoom that this one hits as well, in that we're not too far away, we're not too close, we get the perfect sense of exactly what the skill is going for. This next one you may find debatable, but I've gone with Lissa's Balance. It's obviously very clear what it is. It's scales attempting to find some kind of balance. It was a weird skill for sure. You might consider this a bit of a cop-out because it's just showing an object. Like, how is that a skill? How is that something that we do? How is that something that a mesmer conjures to manipulate a battlefield? I don't really know. But it's pretty, so it's going high on my list. Come at me, internet. Mind Freeze for the Elementalist is the next on the list. Love the color of this. Obviously, as an Ellie skill, it's kind of got that red backing, but here we see it transitions into that very deep blue as this person gets Brain Freeze. We're all familiar with it, and yeah, I just like the very classic Prophecies one as well, I think, this skill icon. The face of the character as well looks really realistic. Sometimes the photorealistic faces work very badly, as we'll see soon, but in this one, I like it a lot. Love the color and the gradient, basically. Next, we have Liquid Flame for the Elementalist. I adore this skill icon. Way back in the day, I never really stopped to appreciate what it was showing me. But look, it's a pot of, like, lava, liquid flame pouring down, hitting the bottom of the image, and then exploding to fire at the bottom. You could maybe argue that the composition is really weird here. There's, like, a lot of dead space in the middle. But I think that helps this skill to stand out. You always really felt the weight of that being on your skill bar and felt good clicking that just because it was such a clean-looking icon. Am I right? I know I'm right. Back to Mesmer. Can you see the bias? Imagined Burden, another early Mesmer skill. Maybe this is nostalgia, but listen, the idea of this skill was to slow people down. And look, you're holding your hand up, you're sending these waves of imagination out to your opponent, and they are felt slow by the air vibrating towards them. Come on, that's so good. I just imagine a Mesmer like slamming their hand out in front of someone, manipulating their mind to think there's some great gust of wind holding them in place. What a cool icon, and visually it's just so striking. Almost into the top 10 here, we have Monk once again with the Healer's Covenant. Lots of Monk elites look amazing. I love the symmetrical design of this one though. It feels very holy and refreshing and exactly what you'd want from a fantasy RPG where you're playing, a restorative character like this. I love this. You got the Healing Ankh there, which features in tons of different skill icons. This one definitely stands head and shoulders above most of the rest. Mesmer again, don't hate me. I've got a good reason for it. Look at this. Drain Enchantment. The enchantment represented by the blue lightning as it's sapped and drained away into that genuinely terrifying and artistic looking purple, pink, swirling vortex back there. That is a cool skill icon. In fact, watching it through here, maybe I should have rated it higher. I really like Drain Enchantment. Especially because it's such an abstract thing that they're trying to visually show us. The idea of removing this fairly nebulous game mechanic, that of an enchantment. It's good. Back to Monk, we have Pacifism. Very simple but inspired idea. You know, a skill representing the idea we don't fight one another. And what do you get? A white dove of peace. And at that, it looks like a really photorealistic, good-looking one too. Not much more to do there, but admire the artistry. I wonder whether they actually took an image of a real bird for this. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. Back to Elementalist, and this could be game mechanics clouding my vision on this one, but we have Phoenix. Come on, one of the most iconic Fire Ellie abilities, even if it wasn't necessarily always the best thing to be running. And I'll tell you why it's so iconic. It's because Guild Wars 1 didn't have the ability to really show a actual Phoenix, with its skill animations. Guild Wars 2 started doing that. They were relying on the skill icons to get that flavor in there. You're going to make a skill called Phoenix. It has to have that good art to make it pay off. And my God, did it work well in this one. Phoenix, you can see it there. You feel like you're summoning some kind of dangerous, aggressive Phoenix. Worked perfectly. This skill was so reliant for its flavor on this art, and it worked perfectly. Almost at the top 10. Next we've got Amity, another very beautiful looking Monk elite. Not too much to say here, except it just feels very peaceful and relaxed and friendship filled, and we get the idea of these wisps coalescing and wandering around and swaying in the skies together. Okay, yeah, maybe I'm being a bit high with this, but I like this one. And lastly, before the top 10, we have a ritualist skill, Soul Twisting. Well, those are two twisting souls, aren't they? I just think this one's very clear, very pretty to look at. Not much more to say. Alright, drum roll people. Top 10, here we go. First of all, we have Taste of Death. Oh my God, isn't that a creepy ass looking skill right there? Yep, so necromancers will be more than familiar with this. That color of that tongue sends chills down my spine. Freaky looking demon. You don't get to see the full face, so there's that mystery on there. Creepy, creepy, creepy stuff. That's number 10. Number 9, moving over to the ritualist, we have Ghost Mirror Light. They could have gone a lot of different ways with this art, including literally just having a mirror there, but they decided to go for this really cool option of having the two spirits splitting away from one another. And if you really stop to examine the point where they split apart, it's creepy as all hell. Look, they're basically sharing an eye. Freaky deaky. Number 8, we're looking at Dervish here. We have Harrier's Grasp. Just a brilliant depiction of someone grasping towards something. You got the hint of like these long claw-like nails there. I just love the energy in this image. I think it looks really, really good. A lot of Dervish skills have way too much detail, big clunky sides and stuff in them, full characters trying to do whatever maneuver it is here. So Harrier's Grasp, the more you zoom out and just step back and look at this, the more beautiful it becomes. Another enchantment-related one for number 7. This is Release Enchantments for the Monk. We get a pretty little butterfly, the butterfly representing the enchantment that we let flutter off into the breeze. When you think game mechanics-wise how this skill worked, I think this is a really cool way of depicting things. And yeah, it's just a very, very pretty image, isn't it? Apparently to get high on the skill list, all you need to do is show a close-up of a hand. Next, we're back on the Ritualist, and I thought long and hard about this, because this is a good skill, and this is a skill that feels really good to be buffed with. So I was wondering if game mechanics were clouding my vision. I don't think it is, though. Splinter Weapon genuinely does deserve one of the top 10 spots as one of the most beautiful skill icons in Guild Wars. Look at this thing! You get that cool sense of the tree as it's moving off on the top right. You get the idea of the thorns, the barbs, and embedded within it, even a representation of the weapon itself. Great sense of shading on this. Fantastic. Number 5, we're looking at Necromancer. We have the skill Cacophony. Oh, what a brilliant skill. So this is basically shout punishment. And yeah, you can really get the feel for that. We get another weird, creepy ass looking demon with its eyes hollowed out and it screeches towards us. I love the emphasis of the shockwaves rolling towards us. Very balanced imagery, including with the colors. Excellent skill. Just nipping ahead at number 4, we have, for the Elementalist, Whirlwind. Again, this is one of those skills with a lot of dead space. You guys might not like that. This is also one of those skills that goes for a very photorealistic approach, but we literally do see like a representation of a tornado or whirlwind here, and there's something about this that just feels so dangerous, so exciting, so devastating to me, and I remember always having this on my bar and feeling like an elemental god. I love it. At number 3, we're back to the Monk Elites, Blessed Light. I really have very little to say about this, except that I think the pattern and the swirl on that is gorgeous. That's about it. I just think it's perfect kind of thing that they should go for Monk Elites, and it makes its way all the way into the top 3. I like it that much. Number 2, we're back to Necromancer with Rip Enchantments. Much like Cacophony, it's very clean, it's very clear what they're going with, it's gory, it's brutal, it represents the idea of, I'm surprised at how many different enchantment ripping or releasing or varied enchantment related effects icons I've had here, but Rip Enchantment I love. I genuinely think this is, if not the best, the second best skill icon in the game. This is such a beautiful piece, very professionally done. Leaving us with just one final one. The best skill icon in all of Guild Wars 1 is, in my humble opinion, belonging to the Dervish, Mystic Twister. Oh, yes, you've probably seen I have some favoritism towards the swirly-based skill icons. This takes the case way better than Drained Enchantments. It's way better than anything else you will find anywhere. What an excellent skill icon. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's got great color, it's got a sense of something exciting at the epicenter there. It was a cool skill to use, but I'm trying to ignore that in my estimation. This is, everyone, and there is no dispute, no debate, no discussion. This is the best skill icon that Guild Wars 1 devs ever made. Alright, this dumb video was supposed to do the best and the worst all at once. But we're already 20 minutes done just with the best. I'm actually flabbergasted that I'm in this situation right now. So, we're splitting it 2, boys. Now it looks serious. The fact I'm going to do 2 freaking videos on this is going to look really serious. But yeah, the second of these, the worst skill icons, I really think you'll enjoy it. It's kind of hilarious how bad the devs were with some of this stuff. So join me next time for the hotly anticipated worst skills of Guild Wars 1.